We've drunk the soup and eaten the fish and chips and the English salad. The children have drunk English water. We've eaten well this evening. That's because we live in the suburbs of London and because our name is Smith. But still, the soup was perhaps a little too salt. It was saltier than you. It also had too many leeks and not enough onions. I regret I didn't advise Mary to add some aniseed stars. The next time I'll know better. Mrs. Parker knows a Romanian grocer by the name of Popescu Rosenfeld, who has just come from Constantinople. He's a great specialist in yogurt. He has a diploma from the School of Yogurt Making in Adrianople. Tomorrow, I shall buy a large pot of native Romanian yogurt from him. One doesn't often find such things here in the suburbs of London. Yogurt is excellent for the stomach, the kidneys, the appendicitis, and apotheosis. It was Dr. Mackenzie King who told me that. He's a good doctor. One can trust him. He never prescribes any medicine that he's not tried out on himself first. Before operating on Parker, he had his own liver operated on first, although he was not the least bit ill.
But how does it happen that the doctor pulled through while Parker died?
Because the operation was successful in the doctor's case and it was not in Parker's.
Then Mackenzie is not a good doctor. The operation should have succeeded with both of them, or else both should have died.
Why?
A conscientious doctor must die with his patient if they can't get well together. The captain of a ship goes down with his ship into the briny deep. He does not survive alone.
One cannot compare a patient with a ship.
Why not? A ship has its diseases too. Moreover, your doctor is as hale as a ship. That's why he should have perished at the same time as his patient, like the captain and his ship.
Ah, I hadn't thought about that. Perhaps it is true. And then, what conclusion do you draw from this?
All doctors are quacks. All patients, too. Only the Royal Navy is honest in England.
But not sailors.
Naturally. Here's the thing I don't understand. In the newspaper, they always give the age of the deceased persons, but never the age of the newly born. That doesn't make sense.
I never thought of that.
Tisk! It says here Bobby Watson's died.
My God, the poor man. When did he die?
Why do you pretend to be astonished? You know very well he's been dead these past 2 years. Surely you remember we attended his funeral a year and a half ago.
Oh, yes, of course I do remember. I remembered it right away, but I don't understand why you yourself were so surprised to see it in the paper.
It wasn't in the paper. It's been 3 years since his death was announced. I remembered it through an association of ideas.
What a pity. He was so well preserved.
He was the handsomest corpse in Great Britain. He didn't look his age. Poor Bobby. He'd been dead for 4 years now and still warm, a veritable living corpse. And how cheerful he was.
Poor Bobby.
Which poor Bobby do you mean?
It is his wife that I mean. She is called Bobby too, Bobby Watson. Since they both had the same name, you could never tell one from the other when you saw them together. It was only after his death that you could really tell which was which. And there are still people today who confuse her with the deceased and offer their condolences to him. How sad for her to be left a widow, so young.
Fortunately, they had no children.
That was all they needed. Oh, children. Poor woman, how could she have managed?
She's still young. She might very well remarry. She looks so well in mourning.
But who would take care of the children? You know very well they have a boy and a girl. What are their names?
Bobby and Bobby, like their parents. Bobby Watson's uncle, old Bobby Watson, is a rich man and very fond of the boy. He might very well pay for Bobby's education.
Well, that would be proper. And Bobby Watson's aunt, old Bobby Watson, might very well, in her turn, pay for the education of Bobby Watson, Bobby Watson's daughter. That way, Bobby Watson's mother, could remarry. Has she anyone in mind?
Yes, a cousin of Bobby Watson's.
Who? Bobby Watson?
Which Bobby Watson do you mean?
Why, Bobby Watson, son of old Bobby Watson, the late Bobby Watson's other uncle.
No, it's not that one. It's someone else. It's Bobby Watson, the son of old Bobby Watson, the late Bobby Watson's aunt.
Are you referring to Bobby Watson, the commercial traveler?
All the Bobby Watsons are commercial travelers.
What a difficult trade. However, they do well at it.
Yes, when there's no competition.
And when is there no competition?
On Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Tuesdays.
Oh, 3 days a week. And what does Bobby Watson do on those days?
He rests. He sleeps.
But why doesn't he work those 3 days if there's no competition?
I don't know everything. I can't answer all your idiotic questions.
I'm the maid. I've spent a very pleasant afternoon.
I hope that you've spent a pleasant afternoon.
Your guests are at the door. They were waiting for me. They didn't dare come in by themselves. They were supposed to have dinner with you this evening.
Oh, yes, we were expecting them. And we were hungry. Since they didn't put in an appearance, we were going to start dinner without them. We've had nothing to eat all day. You should not have gone out.
But it was you who gave me permission.
We didn't do it on purpose.
To step in. We will change quickly.
Why have you come so late? You're not very polite. People should be punctual, do you understand? But sit down here anyway and wait now that you're here.
Excuse me, madam, but it seems to me, unless I'm mistaken, I've met you somewhere before.
I too, sir. It seems to me that I've met you somewhere before.
Was it by any chance at Manchester that I first caught a glimpse of you, madam?
That is very possible. I am originally from the city of Manchester, but I do not have a good memory, sir. I cannot say whether it is there that I caught a glimpse of you or not.
Good God, that's curious. I, too, am originally from the city of Manchester, madam.
That is curious.
Isn't that curious? Only I, madam, I left the city of Manchester about 5 weeks ago.
That is curious. How very bizarre and what a coincidence. I too, sir, I left the city of Manchester about 5 weeks ago.
I took the 8:30 morning train, which arrives in London at 4:45.
How curious that is. How bizarre. I too, sir, I took the 8:30 morning train.
Good Lord, how curious. Perhaps then, madam, it was on the train I saw you.
That is very possible. It is not unlikely. It is plausible, and after all, why not? But I do not recall it, sir.
Nor do I, madam. Since coming to London, I have resided in Bromfield Street, my dear lady.
How curious that is. How bizarre. I, too, since coming to London, have resided in Bromfield Street, my dear sir.
How curious it is. Well then, well then. Perhaps we have seen each other in Bromfield Street, my dear lady.
It is indeed possible after all, but I do not recall it, my dear sir.
I reside at number 19, my dear lady.
How curious that is. I also reside at number 19, my dear sir.
Well then, well then, well then. Well then. Perhaps we have seen each other in that house, my dear lady.
It is indeed possible, but I do not recall it, my dear sir.
My flat is on the 5th floor, number 8, my dear lady.
How curious that is. Good Lord, how bizarre, and what a coincidence. I, too, reside on the 5th floor in flat number 8, dear sir.
How curious it is, how curious it is, how curious it is, and what a coincidence. You know, in my bedroom there is a bed, and it is covered with the green eiderdown. This room with the bed and the green eiderdown is at the end of the corridor between the WC and the bookcase, dear lady.
What a coincidence, good Lord, what a coincidence! My bedroom, too, has a bed with green eiderdown. It's at the end of the corridor between the WC, dear sir, and the bookcase.
How bizarre, curious, strange. Then, madam, we live in the same room and we sleep in the same bed, dear lady. It is perhaps there that we have met?
It is indeed possible that we have met there, and perhaps even last night. But I do not recall it, dear sir.
I have a little girl, my little daughter. She lives with me, dear lady. She is 2 years old, she's blonde, she has a white eye and a red eye. She is very pretty. Her name is Alice, dear lady.
What a bizarre coincidence! I, too, have a little girl. She is 2 years old, has a white eye and a red eye. She is very pretty, and her name is Alice, too, dear sir.
How curious that is, and what a coincidence. And bizarre. Perhaps they are the same, dear lady?
It is indeed possible, dear sir.
Then, madam, I believe that there can be no doubt about it. We have seen each other before, and you are my own wife. Elizabeth, I have found you again.
Donald, it's you, darling.
Elizabeth and Donald are now too happy to be able to hear me. I can therefore let you in on a secret. Elizabeth is not Elizabeth. And Donald is not Donald. And here is the proof. The child that Donald spoke of is not Elizabeth's daughter. They are not the same person. Donald's daughter has one white eye and one red eye like Elizabeth's daughter. Whereas Donald's child has a white right eye and a red left eye, Elizabeth's daughter has a red right eye and a white left eye. Thus, all of Donald's system of deduction collapses when it comes up against this last obstacle which destroys his whole theory. In spite of the extraordinary coincidences which seem to be definitive proofs, Donald and Elizabeth, not being the parent of the same child, are not Donald and Elizabeth. It is in vain he thinks he is Donald. It is in vain she thinks she is Elizabeth. He believes in vain she is Elizabeth. She believes in vain he is Donald. They are sadly deceived. But who is the true Donald? Who is the true Elizabeth? Who has any interest in prolonging this confusion? I don't know. Let's try not to know. Let's leave things as they are. My real name? Sherlock Holmes.
Darling, let's forget all that has not passed between us, and now that we have found each other again, let's try not to lose each other anymore and live as before.
Yes, darling.
Good evening, dear friends. Please forgive us for having made you wait so long. We thought that we should extend you the courtesy to which you are entitled, and as soon as we learned that you have been to dress for the occasion.
We've had nothing to eat all day, and we've been waiting 4 whole hours for you to arrive. Why have you come so late?
Definitely.
We all have colds.
Nevertheless, it's not chilly.
There's no draft.
Oh, no. Fortunately.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear, oh, dear.
Don't you feel well?
No. He's wet his pants.
But, sir, at your age, you shouldn't.
The heart is ageless.
That's true.
So they say.
They also say the opposite.
The truth lies somewhere in between the two.
That's true.
Since you travel so much, you must have many interesting things to tell us.
My dear, tell us what you have seen today.
Oh, it is scarcely worth the trouble, for no one will believe me.
We're not going to question your sincerity.
You will offend us if you think that.
You will offend them, my dear, if you think that.
Oh, well, today I saw the most extraordinary thing, something really incredible.
Tell us quickly, my dear.
Oh, this is going to be amusing.
At last.
Well, today when I went shopping to buy some vegetables, which are getting to be dearer and dearer.
Where is it all going to end?
You shouldn't interrupt, my dear. It's very rude.
In the corner near a cafe, I saw a man, properly dressed, about 50 years old, and not even that.
Who what?
Who what?
Don't interrupt, my dear. You're disgusting.
My dear, it is you who interrupted first. You bore.
Hush. Now, what was this man doing?
Well, I'm sure you will say I am making it up, but he was down on one knee and he was bent over.
Oh.
Yes, bent over.
Not possible.
Yes, bent over. I went near him to see what he was doing.
And?
He was tying a shoelace which had come undone.
Fantastic! If someone else had told me this, I'd not believe it.
And why not? One sees things even more extraordinary every day when one walks around. For instance, today in the underground, I myself saw a man quietly sitting in his seat, reading his newspaper.
What a character!
Perhaps it was the same man. Goodness, someone is ringing.
There must be somebody there. I'll go and see. Nobody.
I'm going to give you another example.
Goodness, someone is ringing.
There must be somebody there. I'll go and see. No one.
You were saying you were going to give us another example.
Yes.
Goodness, someone is ringing.
I'm not going to open the door again.
Yes, but there must be someone there.
The first time, there was no one. The second time, No one. Why do you think that there is someone there now?
Because someone has rung.
Well, that's no reason.
What? When one hears the doorbell ring, that means there is someone at the door ringing to have the door open.
Not always. You've just seen otherwise.
In most cases, yes.
As for me, when I go to visit someone, I ring in order to be admitted. I think that everyone does the same thing, in that each time there is a ring, there must be someone there.
That is true, in theory, but in reality, things happen differently. You have just seen otherwise.
Your wife is right.
Oh, you women. You always stand up for each other.
Well, I'll go and see. You can't say that I'm obstinate, but you will see that there is no one there. You see, there is no one there. These men who always think they're right and who are always wrong.
Goodness, someone is ringing. There must be someone there.
Don't send me to open the door again. You've seen that it was useless. Experience teaches us that when one hears the doorbell ring, it is because there is never anyone there.
Never.
That's not entirely accurate.
In fact, it's false. When one hears the doorbell ring, it is because there is someone there.
He won't admit he's wrong.
My husband is very obstinate, too.
There's someone there.
That's not impossible.
No.
Yes.
I tell you, no. In any case, you are not going to disturb me again for nothing. If you wish to know, go and look yourself.
I'll go. Oh, how do you do? It's the fire chief.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, Mrs. Smith. You appear to be angry.
Oh.
You see, it is because my wife is a little chagrined at having been proved wrong.
There's been an argument between Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Mr. Fire
This
Chief.
is no business of yours. I beg you not to involve outsiders in our family arguments.
Oh, my dear, it's not so serious. The fire chief is an old friend of the family. His mother courted me and I knew his father. He asked for my daughter in marriage if ever I had one, and he died waiting.
That's neither his fault nor yours.
Well, what was it all about?
My husband was claiming...
No, it was you who was claiming.
Yes, it was she.
No, it was he.
Don't get excited. You. Tell me, Mrs. Smith.
Well, this is how it was. It is difficult for me to speak openly to you, but a fireman is also a confessor.
Well, then,
We were arguing because my husband said that each time the doorbell rings, there is always someone there.
It is plausible.
And I was saying that each time the doorbell rings, there is never anyone there.
It might seem strange.
But it has been proved, not by theoretical demonstrations, but by facts.
That's false, since the fire chief is here. He rang the bell, I opened the door, and there he was.
When?
But just now.
Yes, but it was only when you heard the doorbell ring the fourth time that there was someone there. And the fourth time does not count.
Never. It is only the first 3 times that count.
Mr. Fire Chief, permit me in my turn to ask you several questions.
go right ahead.
When I opened the door and saw you standing there, was it really you who'd rung the bell?
Yes, it was I.
You were at the door, and you rang in order to be admitted.
I do not deny it.
You see, I was right. When one hears the doorbell ring, it is because there was someone there who rang it. You certainly cannot say that the fire chief is not someone.
Certainly not. I repeat to you that I was speaking of only the first 3 times, since the fourth time does not count.
And when the bell rang the first time, was it you who rang it?
No, it was not I.
You see, the doorbell rang and no one was there.
Perhaps it was someone
Were
else.
you standing at the door for a long time,
3/4 of an hour.
and you saw no one?
No one, I am sure of it.
And when the bell rang the second time, did you hear it?
Yes, and that wasn't I either. And there was still no one at the door.
Victory! I was right.
Not so fast. What were you doing at the door?
I was just standing there. I was thinking of many things.
But the third time, it was not you who rang?
Yes, it was I.
But when the door was open, nobody was inside.
That was because I hid myself. as a joke.
Don't make jokes, Mr. Fire Chief. This business is too sad.
In short, we still do not know whether when the doorbell rings, whether there is someone there or not.
Never anyone.
Always someone.
I'm gonna reconcile you. You're both partly right. When the doorbell rings, sometimes there is someone, other times there is no one.
This seems logical to me.
I think so too.
Life is very simple, really. Go on and kiss each other.
We just kissed each other a little while ago.
They'll kiss each other tomorrow. They have plenty of time.
Mr. Fire Chief, since you've helped us settle this, please make yourself comfortable. Take off your helmet and sit down for a moment.
Excuse me, but I can't stay long. I should like to remove my helmet, but I haven't time to sit down. I must admit, I've come here for another reason. I'm on official business.
And what can we do for you, Mr. Fire Chief?
I must beg you to excuse my indiscretion, but, you don't mind? In front of them?
Oh, say whatever you like.
We're old friends. They tell us everything.
Speak.
Well, is there a fire here?
Why do you ask us that?
Oh, it is because, excuse me, I have orders from the city to extinguish all fires.
All?
Yes. All.
I don't know. I don't think so. Do you want me to go and look?
There can't be one here. There's no smell of anything burning.
None at all? You don't have a little fire in the chimney? Something burning in the attic or in the cellar? A little fire just starting at least?
I am sorry to disappoint you, but I do not believe there's anything here at the moment. I promise I will notify you when we do have something.
Please don't forget. It would be a great help.
That's a promise.
And there's nothing burning at your house either?
No, unfortunately.
Things aren't going so well just now.
Shall I tell a story?
Oh, by all means. How charming of you.
What is even more interesting is the fact that firemen stories are all true and based on experience.
I speak from experience. Truth, nothing but the truth. No fiction.
That's right. Truth is never found in books, only in life.
Begin.
Begin.
Be quiet, he's beginning.
The dog and the cow. An experimental fable. Once upon a time, another cow asked another dog, "Why have you not swallowed your trunk?" "Pardon me," replied the dog. "It is because I thought I was an elephant."
What is the moral?
That is for you to find out.
It's your turn, dear lady.
I only know one. I'm going to tell it to you. It's called The Bouquet.
My wife has always been a romantic.
She's a true Englishwoman.
Here it is. Once upon a time, a fiancé gave a bouquet of flowers to his fiancée, who said thanks. But before she had said thanks, he, without saying a single word, took back the flowers he had given her in order to teach her a good lesson. And he said, "I take them back." He said goodbye and took them back and went off in all directions.
Oh, charming.
You have a wife, Mr. Smith, of whom all the world is jealous.
It's true, my wife is intelligence personified. She's even more intelligent than I. In any case, she's much more feminine. Everyone says so.
Madam, sir.
What do you want?
What have you come in here for?
Well, I was hoping Madam and Sir will excuse me, and ladies and gentlemen too. I would like to tell a story myself. yourself. What is she saying?
I think our friend's maid is going crazy. She wants to tell us a story too.
Who does she think she is?
Why are you butting in?
This is really uncalled for, Mary.
But it is she. Incredible.
And you?
Incredible. Yeah. What does all this mean?
You know each other?
And how?
I'm so glad to see you again at last.
This is too much. Here, in our home in the suburbs of London.
It's not proper.
It was she who extinguished my first fires.
Don't tell us anything.
Go, my little Mary. Go quietly to the kitchen and read your poems before the mirror.
You know, even though I'm not a maid, I too read poems before the mirror.
This morning when you looked at yourself in the mirror, you didn't see yourself.
That's because I wasn't there yet.
All the same, I could perhaps recite a little poem for you.
My little Mary, you are frightfully obstinate.
I'm going to recite a poem then. Is that agreed? It is a poem entitled The Fire. In honor of the fire chief. The fire. The polypoids were burning in the woods. A stone caught fire. The castle caught fire. The forest caught fire. The men caught fire. The women caught fire. The birds caught fire. The fish caught fire. The sea caught fire. The sky caught fire. The ashes caught fire. The smoke caught fire. The fire caught fire. Everything caught fire. Caught fire. Caught fire. Caught fire. Caught fire. Caught fire. That sent chills up my spine.
And yet there's a certain warmth in those lines.
I thought it was marvelous.
All the same.
You're exaggerating.
Just a minute. I admit, all this is very subjective. But this is my conception of the world. My world. My dreams. My ideals. And now this reminds me that I must leave. Since you don't have the time here, I must tell you that in exactly 3/4 of an hour, in 16 minutes, I'm having a fire on the other end of town. Consequently, I must hurry, even though it will be quite unimportant.
What will it be? A little chimney fire?
Oh, not even that. A straw fine, a little heartburn.
Well, we're sorry to see you go.
You have been very entertaining.
Thanks to you, we have passed a truly Cartesian 1/4 of an hour.
Speaking of that, the Bald Soprano.
She always wears her hair in the same style.
Then good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Good luck and a good fire.
Let's hope so. For everybody.
I can buy a pocket knife for my brother, but you can't buy Ireland for your grandfather.
One walks on his feet, but one heats with electricity or coal.
He who sells an ox today will have an egg tomorrow.
In real life, one must look out of the window.
One can sit down on a chair when the chair doesn't have
One
it.
must always think of
The
everything.
ceiling is above, the floor is below.
When I say yes, it's only a manner of speaking.
To each his own.
Take a circle, caress it, and it'll turn
A
vicious.
schoolmaster teaches his pupils to read, but the cat suckles her young when they are small.
One doesn't polish spectacles with black wax.
Yes, but with money, one can buy anything.
I'd rather kill a rabbit than sing in the garden.
Dogs have fleas! Dogs have fleas!
That's this crocus, cock-headed cockroach!
Casca, you in Casca!
I'd rather lay an egg in a box than go and steal an ox.
Let me gnash my teeth!
Crocodile!
Let's go and slap Ulysses Robert.
Browning!
Rudyard
Rudyard!
Kipling!
Robert Kipling!
Rudyard Browning!
from stage to stage.
It's not
that
way.
It's
over here.
It's not that way, it's over here. It's not that way, it's over here. It's not that way, it's over here. It's not that way, it's over here.
It's 9 o'clock. We've drunk the soup and eaten the fish and chips and the English salad. The children have drunk English water. We've eaten well this evening. That's because we live in the suburbs of London and because our name is Smith.